So a total of 4 weeks has expired since we started this batch of wine. The first 2 weeks were the fermentation period. This past 2 weeks was the clearing and stabilization period. So now we're ready to bottle the wine. So for the last 2 weeks, it's been covered in this custom bottle blanket. This blanket provides an environment so that it maintains a consistent temperature, as well as the inside of this blanket is lined in black, so it keeps it dark, so sunlight doesn't get in and do any damage to it. So let's uncover it and see what it looks like. Oh my, it cleared perfectly. That is ready to bottle. Sanitizing your equipment and your bottles is extremely important. It's really maybe a full-length video to cover all the details, but we always begin by washing our bottles with a bottle brush and soap and water. It's very important to rinse that out. You want to get all that soap residue out. You don't want that incorporating into the taste of the wine. We use a product called One Step, and One Step is a sanitizing agent. You mix it with some water, we pour it into the bottles, and then we shake them around and allow basically the fumes and the liquid to do its job, and then we rinse them thoroughly. After that, we'll set them on, I like setting them on the side so that air can pass in and out, otherwise they cloud up real bad. And typically some liquid will float to the bottom and we just pour that out. So with this wine now ready to bottle, I could simply take a siphon and siphon right directly out of here into bottles, cork it, and be done. That's certainly acceptable. But what I want to do is I want to filter this wine because I'm going to be giving it away. A lot of it I give it away as gifts, and nothing worse than getting a bottle of homemade wine and have some sediment that floats around in there, right? So I want to, during the clearing process, there was a little bit of sediment that slowly worked its way to the bottom. I can look in the bottom and I can see that there's sediment at the bottom. If I move this jug, that'll get stirred back up, and that'd be a bad thing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to siphon this, I'm going to rack this wine back out of this bottle, back into that primary fermenter, my plastic bucket. That'll basically leave that sediment in the bottom here. Then I can transport my primary fermenter and all the wine into the kitchen where I'll do the final filtering and bottling, and I'll put the primary fermenter basically in a really high spot so that the siphon works very well. So that's be the next thing. Let's siphon this out of here and put it into the primary. So just to show you what our setup is for filtering, I've got the primary fermenter full of the wine. It's in an elevated position. I've got my auto siphon ready to go. The auto siphon basically feeds into this household filter, and I've got a 1 micron filter in the unit, and then that feeds a tube which has this wand. This is a bottle filling wand, and it's kind of neat. It's got a valve on the very end, so when you depress the valve, the wine will flow, but when you let off the valve, it'll stop. Therefore, you can go from bottle to bottle, and that makes a nice, easy transition. So let's get this auto siphon going, and we'll see if we can start bottling some wine. So now that we have the whole system set up, we just simply place a bottle down, put the wand down inside the bottle, and as the wand hits the bottom, it opens up that valve and wine starts flowing. We'll fill up this bottle. So we'll lift the wand up and use the wand, tip the wand over to open the valve just to top it off up to about 2 to 3 fingers from the top. So this batch, we're going to fill up about 24 of those smaller clear bottles. Those are 375 milliliter bottles. Plus, we'll get about 20 of these 750 milliliter bottles out of this 1 6-gallon batch of wine. Alright, so corking is relatively easy. You sanitize your corks. Then I thoroughly rinse them because sanitizer is very slippery. And if you just do that, basically the compression that you're going to put on the air that's in the very top of the bottle is actually going to try and push your corks out. So I always sanitize them, then I rinse them thoroughly to get that slippery surface off of them so that they will stay down in the bottle. Then I also have a corker, this little hand corker. The key to it is actually compresses the cork, makes it smaller so it'll actually go down into it a little easier. You just load a cork in there. Set this on top. And there we have a cork bottle. After this, we'll put some labels on them. Let me finish corking them. Okay, we got 2 more steps and we're done. First is going to be labeling. I've purchased these online labels. It's an OL 500WS. It's basically 6 sticky sheets, sticky labels per sheet. And I've created my own custom label in Photoshop that I think I'll try and put a video together that shows you kind of how to do that. But by using these labels and then my own little custom logo, I've been able to print these on a color printer. And the top ones, basically, they peel off and they're going to go onto those bigger bottles. And then I made it a little bit smaller so they'll fit in the smaller bottles. These I'm actually have to cut out first, then we'll apply them. But let me get out a big bottle. We'll get one of these, couple of these big ones on and show you kind of how that goes on. Okay, I've put a couple books here to get the right elevation where I want it. And the bottles have a little seam on it. So I try and put the seam on the edge, so I'm going to put the label here. I use this to square up the label. And then tilt it back. And that's how I'm going to put all these labels on. And then I'll get a different height elevation. The key to the label also is if you put it high enough where it starts getting into this edge that where the bottle starts tapering down, the label will buckle. So you want to make sure you're down definitely into the area where the bottle is just a cylinder and not into the conical area. Otherwise you'll mess your label, it won't look as good. Alright, let's do the rest. Alright, and the final process step is we're going to take these little capsules and we're going to add these to the top of the wine bottle. They basically go on and then we heat shrink them. And that's what it ends up like. Nice little thing, helps keep the cork on. We'll end up putting these bottles back in the box and store them upright for a couple, 2 or 3 days. Let extra gas and pressure come out of the cork. But after that, then it's done. Then we'll turn the boxes on their side and they'll be stored sideways. Keep the cork wet, keep them dry until they're consumed.
I'm gonna put the peel to the back.
Yeah, there's a little peel strip right here. We always put that to the back behind the label so you don't see it immediately. So here's the finished batch. We got 19 large bottles and 20 small bottles. So we'll be putting this stuff to good use.